announcements, and then we'll throw it to you all. Our teams, these are, don't leave that beautiful screen up. That was awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. Look at that. It's a pirate who's not a pirate. But you'll learn more about that in a little bit. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Whoa, who's excited? CVD, glad to have you here. Absolutely very excited. And there's so much going on. A lot of people just got back from the Game Developers Conference, but April is its own Game Developers Month in Georgia. So much amazing stuff going on. Tonight, you all are tuned in for our Best in Georgia Finalist competition. These are the finalists showing their final projects. Well, the projects they've submitted. We hope all of them will continue working on their games, but one team will win a whole bunch of professional services to help them get their game to market. We've gotten some great games out of this. We're going to talk a little bit about Lightbreak in a little bit, which is a past winner that has launched. And if you haven't already wishlisted or bought it, you absolutely should. But tonight, each team will be showing their games, and you will get to ask questions, and I will relay those questions to the teams. But let's talk about all the other cool stuff happening in Georgia first, because we are working hard to make sure all of you have great chances to become great game developers. So, April really has turned into a game dev month here in Georgia. We'll talk about some of the stuff like Emory itself is doing a game development convention on April 6th. Let me throw some of these links into the chat, called EagleCon. I'll be talking there. Lucas Bailey from Georgia State University. Hiccup Interactive will be talking, showing off their game. A number of other GGDA members will be showing off their games on the Emory campus and the Student Center. It's a free event. Parking's free. Just come out and enjoy. That same day, if you're in Athens, and if you are joining us from Athens, welcome. If you're joining us from anywhere in the state or anywhere in the world, welcome. But if you're going to be in Athens, you can go to our Athens meetup on April 6th as well. Meet your fellow game devs in Athens. All right, what the folks who are competing here are interested in is our Best in Georgia Awards ceremony. That is April 15th. That is going to be, Parker Cameron was going to mention this in the chat, at SCAD-Atlanta. So the teams will all be showing them. You will get your chance to play these games there. They'll have the games there for you all to try out. So please do check it out. The Best in Georgia competition is always a blast, and the awards they're always great games. But this year we also have our Game Developer Conference report back. So a number of our members have gone to GDC. I didn't. I used to go to CGDC all the time. Haven't gone in a few years. But a lot of good things happened this year again. So you will get to go check it, hear from them what was best. One of the prizes our Best in Georgia team gets is a free booth at our April 19th Siege Indie Game Festival. We've got some great games being shown there. I think we've got about 15 booths already called for there. If you are in the chat and you're going to be showing your game at the Siege Indie Game Fest, give us a shout out in the chat. Let everybody know. Let everyone know what they're going to get to see on April 19th, in addition to the big winner. And we'll probably talk to the other teams about giving them spaces as well. We'll see how much space we have left. The first Game AI conference in the South is coming to Kennesaw State University, sponsored by the GGDA, April 26th through 27th. The head of AI for Take-Two Interactive, Dr. Luke Dickens, is one of our keynotes. So if you want to know what one of the biggest gaming companies in the world is doing across the board in regard to AI, come on out while he opens the hood and lets you look at the engine. A lot of other great speakers. Look up Ken Kiersey from Invoke AI. Some folks you already know, like Duff Jacobson, Dr. Victoria LaGrange, and a lot of folks you haven't seen. This will be really an amazing lineup. Very impressive. And as I said, the first in the Southeast. So here's the link for that awesome event. All right. And I told you in chat, if you're going to be showing your game at the Siege Indie Game Fest, let us know in the chat, and I'll let mine out there. My game, Emperor of the Fading Suns, launches on Steam tomorrow. Yes, Emperor of the Fading Suns first came out in 1997, but the Steam release is much enhanced. So wishlist it now. Any of the games you see, and I'm going to be sharing the links for the Best in Georgia contestants too. Any links that I share, if they're on Steam, go wishlist it immediately. Wishlists are free. There is nothing better than supporting your fellow game devs. Okay, there are a few things better, but it's pretty good to support your fellow game devs. All right. The other thing I need to mention is MomoCon coming up in oh, I'm sorry, I got a ping here. The Siege Indie Game Fest, I was just reminded, is being co-sponsored with MomoCon, but also Stream Atlanta. That's right, we have about 20 to 40 streamers and influencers coming out to the Siege Indie Game Fest. If you are involved in game dev, you want to meet the influencers. I had one streamer Saturday, Das Tactics, streamed my game. 200 new wishes popped up during his stream. You want to work with streamers and influencers to get your game in front of people. Come out April 19th. You can get tickets at that link. And we do have a limited number of tickets. Dorville Digital Studio is big, but if we fill up, we have to cap it. So get your passes early. Great chance to meet indies. We're promoting for MomoCon. We're working MomoCon. And a lot of these games will be showing MomoCon. The Best in Georgia winner also gets a free booth at MomoCon to show their game, courtesy of the Indie Cluster. So that's one of the prizes. So that's, 70,000 people who can see your game over the course of a weekend. So the idea of having that Siege Indie Game Fest is give you practice to get ready pitching it and showing it to folks who haven't seen it before. So yeah, lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff coming on up. All right. With that, let's get to what everybody here is really most anxious about. And that is these awesome games. So, my favorite nitwits with the pirate that's not a pirate, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us all about Bubble Up.
Hello, thank you. I'm Abe. I'm here with Colin. We're working Nitwit Studios, and we're working on Bubble Up, which will be a Metroidvania Light for casual gamers. And I'm going to just very, very quickly go over the outline of some of our plans here, and then just jump into the game to show things that have changed. So one thing that I'll show right away that we've added and we're working on improving is an intro cutscene. So I'm going to go ahead and play that now. So just cute little short cutscene there. Going to be adding more effects and fixing compression and other things like that. Let's see if it'll let me go to the next slide here. Sorry about that. So one of the things we want to focus on for this is a very fun, fast, casual feel. It won't be too difficult, but it won't be too easy either. There will be a lot of options for upgrades and such so that you can customize your experience. And here's just a quick overview of our current plans. So we're going to release by the May 31st deadline on Itch.io, Game Jolt, and Congregate. If you get additional funding or support, we will make a more complete version that is released on Steam. So this current version we're showing today does not yet have a final boss, but we will be adding a final boss by the May 31st deadline. And if we get further support, we may add more areas to explore, such as an ocean floor level. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I want to jump into the game itself, but it'll be a single player game, pretty short, an hour or so, very fast, casual, a lot of replay options, since you can pick and choose what upgrades to take. We do have a current teaser trailer, which is still the alpha gameplay, so this we will be updating by the time we launch the game on May 31st. That way it's more accurate to current gameplay. I'm not going to show that here just since it is slightly older. And for the rest of this, I'm just going to page through. I'd encourage everyone who wants to see our pitch deck to go ahead and request me for the link, but we do have some story established. We have our core loop, stretch goals for gameplay, some gameplay highlights. I think the oxygen meter being your health in our game is really unique, and again, those optional upgrades will be great. And then, of course, marketing plan with, social media, trailers, and all that stuff, and then potential for Steam key giveaways if we make a more full game. So thank you from our team for looking over this, and I'm going to hand it off to Colin so you can see that actual gameplay here.
Yep. So Andrew, I'm about to start streaming. Let me know when I'm good to go. Okay, cool. All right, so this is the gameplay. So the reason why we showed the intro cutscene in the slideshows is because it was really hard to get it caught on stream. So how it works is when you don't have a save file, this is the screen you see. You see a new game, you get to see the intro cutscene, and then when you click new game, you see what happens after Money and the captain. Money is the name of the monkey. When both him and the captain sync, you see him come out of the crates, and then gameplay starts. And this is kind of our mini tutorial. We really wanted our tutorial to not use words, so there's a lot of like icons and visual cues. This beginning area is a really tight storage area, and it shows you your first bubble. And you walk up here, you can see your first like locked door. So that kind of tells you, okay, this game has locked doors. It kind of gives you the brief movement, and then you can get a feel for how this oxygen meter on the bottom left works. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock the door. And we had a debate on how we wanted to do doors. We went with the Mario approach. And that's kind of like, when we say casual, we're going for more of like the Mario casual, where like Ava said, where it's easy to pick up, hard to master. And then of course, the thing we really liked from our Game Jam prototype was loot. So throughout this ship, there's plenty of loot. You have this giant plunder bag. You're going to pick up coins, sapphires, emeralds, rubies. And then that key we picked up in the tutorial, you can see there on the bottom left. So that's kind of the big thing is kind of like fun, greed, and just like take it at your own pace. You can see right now, money's going pretty slow. So the very first pickup item is right here is actually the jetpack. And then you can see more tutorial cues. This speeds you up, but it definitely eats up oxygen. So that's kind of the trade-off is the oxygen is your health, it's your jetpack, and then, well, I guess those are the two big things. Another thing we really liked from, and this is what happens when you're low on oxygen, is this cool chromatic effect. So, and then the music changes too. But we really we actually want to go more into the bubbles. So we created boost bubbles. So that's just kind of like an optional, like, hey, I want to go fast or I don't want to go fast. And they also give you a little oxygen. You can also change what direction they go in. We're going to add a buffer. It's kind of quick, that timing. But we're going to add probably a couple more bubbles, like one bubble where it always goes in one direction and these bubbles kind of go in any direction. And another thing that's always fun about Metroidvanias is secrets and blocked entrances. So here's an example of, well, what do I do here? I can't do anything. And then an example of like little tiny secrets is like, hey, if you explore in different areas, look, now you got an emerald. I can keep talking, Andrew. I'm going to keep going, but please stop me if I ever hit time. I'm going to keep going through the game and keep talking about things. But the next thing is, again, another bubble, but this is Money's first weapon is a hook. So you can see now on his little, like, that golden part, there's now or the handle, there's now a hook. And then you can see now your first enemies are these, and you can see in here, there's breakable walls. So if we wanted to, we can go back to that other area and break that wall. And kind of the fun of this game is breaking things, exploring things. And we said Metroidvania, but it's really lighthearted. Like that right there is just everything's cartoony, very visual. As more people play, we may even make it so that you have way more oxygen, but we made sure that there was plenty of bubbles, plenty of things to like, so that if you want to take your time, you don't have to go super fast. But if you want to go fast, you can speed right through it. So I'm going to keep on going and show more things like spikes. 2 minutes? Okay, cool. I may even pass out here. Nope, made it just in time. So I'll show the next area, which is up here. Is the wind. So another cool thing is we want to make each area, especially as we put more polish, very unique with both its obstacles and its layout. So like kitchen, there's a lot of kitchenware. This room is like, oh, it's a little busted up. There's like wind, and there's secrets over here if you want to explore it. So this wind right here that's making it really tough, but with the jetpack, luckily you can kind of just go through. And again, this is like a little secret area, spoiler alert. But there's two things. There's treasure chests, so more loot, and then oxygen upgrades. So it definitely helps in demonstration purposes, so I don't embarrassingly pass out. But I'm going to keep going through, and I'm going to show one of the another unique area, which is the kitchen. So to get through there is, I would say this is the first tough zone. So the game has had plenty of time to like, you can go, like there's very little enemies, especially in the first room, it was just bedrooms. But this one is where it gets tricky with the wind, the spikes. Hey, I really want that coin. Wow, that's really tough. And then the little pufferfish guy right there. So this next area is the kitchen. And this is what we were talking about, is like having unique obstacles. So right off the bat, like this is unique just for this room, is the kitchenware. There's more secrets. And then over here, classic Metroidvania, but there's a locked door, but I haven't seen this key. So if I keep playing, I will find this key, but I think I only have like a minute, 30 seconds. So I'll just kind of go up here and show some of Ava's art. Ava did all the artwork and I did all the game development. But this, I find this very funny, charming, and cute, but like the artwork of the captain. Actually, I can probably even show the captain. Oh, nope, I don't have the key. Well, the captain's in here. And there's weapon upgrades, so you can get like a pirate sword. And then, so we went away from having stat upgrades and went with, hey, it's really fun to collect things. Let's keep collecting things. And then that's how you get upgrades. And then I can show all the loot I've gotten so far. So a good bit, the bag's halfway full. So if you want to go right through the game, you don't care about the loot, you can do that. But if you're into collect-a-thons, this game has plenty of things to collect. And we're just going to keep adding things to collect. And that's really it for gameplay. I'm going to stop there, Andrew, but definitely open up to questions.
Yeah, perfect. Right on time. Looks great. I want those gems, but that's just me. No, it's not just me. It's most of the folks in chat, too. Marissa Tontavitong says, Pufferfish. JY says, yeah, this is great. A lot of progress since I saw the demo. Rachel LaCroix, who's been running the Best in Georgia contest for the Georgia Game Developers Association, says, love the secret door. I did not find that when I played. Hats on YouTube says, Sonic Panic theme is needed. I think that's when you were running out of oxygen.
Yeah, I'll show it right here.
Everything was going black. Yeah, I love the music, but any thought on doing it at all to fit the mood? Or will it just stay the same?
So that's a great question. So we do have a musician that we've worked with sparingly. There is an interesting piece, like a staccato, like violin piece that plays in the captain's room. But yeah, right now there's only two music movements. It's this song, which I've heard, of course, a million times while developing, but also the low oxygen. But every zone will have its own theme. So this is the first level is the ship, because the idea is you went down with the ship. Now let's get out of the ship. And when you get out of the ship, you will be in the deep, dark ocean, and you'll find even more areas to explore. That's in the full release. In our quick May 31st release, it's going to get out of the ship, and your first boss. And I don't want to spoil that, but it'll be very large and menacingly, but also still have, of course, that cute aesthetic. Yeah, but we will add more themes. But yeah, right now it's 3 songs.
Very cool. Hats on YouTube says, giving me Donkey Kong Country PTSD. LOL.
Yep. the boost bubbles. Yeah, that big. In fact, when we were playtesting, I understand now why you have that buffer time in the barrel when you stay there for a little bit and then you launch. Because right now it just kind of takes you off, and so we're gonna add a little more buffer there, so you can take your, actually choose which direction the quote-unquote barrel shoots you, but instead of a barrel, it's a bubble.
Very cool. Lots of good plans. I love that you're going to have this on Congregate. We used to have more studios that would launch on Congregate, but I don't know anyone doing Congregate locally anymore. Talk to us about that. Why Congregate and what's involved?
So actually, our mentor, Jeff, he actually mentioned Congregate, and I was like, wow, I haven't heard Congregate in a while. Because I used to be, my first programming language was Flash. That was a big Flash game hub. And then GameStop bought it, and then it became like a GameStop product. But what really did it was, one, the art style really, it just kind of screams Flash. It has that vector art style. And 2, the way our experience currently works really well for all those websites you went to in the computer lab when you're in middle school and high school. Like, you just want a really quick, fun, short experience. So we thought of Congregate, Game Jolt, even Newgrounds. We're even going to release this on Newgrounds. And of course, itch.io, because those work really well for what I would say, what used to be Flash games. What this has that Flash game heart in it. So we were going to go on those sites. And then the game is free. But we were going to have a coffee or a Ko-Fi. I think it's coffee. We're going to have a coffee and a lot of call to actions for donations. And what that will boil down to is, okay, we have support. Let's actually make this a full-fledged experience. But for now, it's going to be kind of like an hour experience by May 31st.
Very cool. So we got a good sense of what donations are like on itch. You'll get a tiny bit. I have no idea what it is with Congregate Newgrounds also really takes me back. So
Oh yeah,
I'll love to hear if you want to.
They're still kicking. I know we don't use G. This was made in Unity, but the G developed community, their game engine, they're big on Newgrounds, which is surprising. So
if you want to report back to us on how you do on donations, that'd be great.
For sure.
Love to hear how that works for you.
It makes us feel better too, because it's like I didn't want to like have like a 30-45 minute game and then put a $1.99 price tag on it. But if we had that support, we would definitely make it a full game, and then I totally would love to make it a $1.99. Last time when we talked, that's what we pitched was a $1.99 on Steam. We're gonna wait on that until we have more support, and we put a lot more work into it. So, but yeah, that's the plan.
Sounds good. More comments from online. Hat says, seriously though, it'd be nice to see more and more visual movement to the oxygen meter. Some change in the visual state or help draw the eye to that meter more often.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do have another sprite where he looks, upset and scared. That will be added on over there. It's just not implemented yet.
Yeah, and it's the juice. The game definitely needs more juice. Like the feedback of like, oh, it's low, and like when games like do scale effects or like tween effects, like hey, look down here. Yeah, I totally agree. That's definitely something we'll add.
All right, JY says, yeah, also can play with fog shadows to make those light bulbs relevant.
Yeah, I took out shadows. I went with just additive lighting, just to add more contrast. But I didn't mess with shadows. I know with Mario, that's a classic thing. Play with darkness, like have a dark level and your visibility is limited. And we may do that, but it would just be for like certain zones, like deep dark in the ocean. So I thought about playing with light more, but I thought the shadows were distracting. But from a gameplay element, it would be interesting if a room was like completely dark and you only saw like the bubbles.
All right. Michael Revitt says, awesome work. Looking forward to the full release. The sea monkey is very cute. And
thank you. That was Flava.
Last comment. Oh, Dreamchild on Twitch just said, oh, kawaii. Yeah. And Marissa Tantavitong says, maybe some donations with percentage towards ocean conservation to incentivize folk to donate or stream donation.
That's smart, yeah.
Oh, cool.
We also, I thought about this because of like picking up objects and stuff, but we thought about like not only have coins, but like if there's any debris, you also pick it up, because it would have been really funny. Like this bag is just filled with like beds and random pillows and like random debris and stuff. So it's like money is just so greedy that he's picking up everything. So that was just
6-pack plastic.
The plastic thing, aluminum cans. He doesn't care. He picks it up. He picks it all up.
All right. Good stuff. All right. Everyone, that was Bubble Up. Give them applause. All teams have 15 minutes. That was good. We're going to bring you another team. Say bye, Bubble Up.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we are back with Bubble Yaga. I love doing Baba Yaga in my own games over the years. So many copies for me. I'm looking forward to seeing what Bubble Yaga will do. Take it away, Bubble Yaga.
All right. Here's our game, Bubble Yaga. Very nice looking. As you guys saw from our last presentation, it's a tic-tac-toe roguelike, but I think roguelite would be more accurate for it in its current state. We've completely revamped the game, added a bunch of changes, including new mechanics, such as the mutator mechanic here. And I will now leave the rest of my team to talk about it while I play through it.
Yes, it's been a busy 2 months for us. Most of us were either freshmen or our second year, so we have not had an experience with a large project such as this, and we have learned a lot while doing it. The code, we have like nearly quadrupled the number of lines written, which is quite impressive for 2 months. I guess I can talk about some of the mechanics we've added. This is. Oh, I should mention this. This is our first time with Godot as our engine. Although to be fair, it's our first time using any major engine for it. For commercial game design, in a sense.
Dude, why are we getting the same enemy? This is crazy.
There is multiple enemies, although it appears the random number generation has decided to be cruel. We have Natalie, our artist. She's added a lot of art. Do you know the number or anything?
I would say there's a total of 3 new common enemies, 2 bosses, and one of them is the bubble duck, which is a cute little duck that comes together with a bunch of bubbles. They all have have little faces themselves, and a couple of them have different gimmicks. There's one that we're hopefully going to see soon called the Coward Bubble. That one is not very strong, has a lot of health, but it's much stronger than the rest. We're going to come back to the shop here, the new shop screen. This is our mysterious shopkeeper, Morna, and you can collect things like relics and brand new. When it comes to all the assets, basically everything has been almost completely revamped, including things like the backgrounds, Muila, the main character's sprites, and one of the big things I noticed is I wanted to add a more storybook texture to all of the artwork. It's going to appear more like a cozy kind of storybook look, with keeping those like very nice pastel colors. So I'm going to hand it over to Grace to talk about the music.
Oh yeah, you can hear how the music is so much different than the beta version. I spent at least an hour on each segment of it. I made sure to add a lot of layers to make it like more story-like, make it a nice feel. There are more songs that we're supposed to add, but they're not currently working and they're not currently implemented into the game yet. But there's like 6, I believe, that I've made so far. That should be added.
Soon. Yeah.
Yes. Tristan, do you want to talk about how you've developed the UI? Or
yeah. On my own, I've done a handful of the more basic UI elements, such as the hearts or the suds in the top there that count as your money, as well as doing the layouts for most scenes, such as the fight scene we're looking at now. I've taken the art that Natalie has graciously done for our game and composited them into their own animations for attacking, taking damage, idling, and so forth. I've done some good work on just making sure everything sort of flows together. We have some scene transitions we didn't have previously.
Just want to show off the inventory really quick.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the scene transitions are very nice.
Let's see. What else to note on? Suppose I made the health in the sides radial as well as just ticking down the numbers so that you have more of a visual feedback in terms of how much health you have left based on your max health at the moment. It does, whenever you get items that increase your health, scale to the amount of health that you currently have. So you'll have smaller slivers of health missing for larger amounts of health based on the damage. And so forth. Lots of visual updates, I'll say.
Yeah, even the tic-tac-toe board is different in game. Looks very nice now.
Oh yeah, the main thing I just entirely forgot to say.
Yeah. So after this, whether we win or not, our definite focus is we've gotten a lot of the base systems in, and we'll be focusing on adding in the content. For example, currently the second level is in the game. It's just not connected.
You can kind of see it here. This is the background for the second area.
Yep. With brand new enemies. Just a few bugs away from being playable.
Yeah, sadly, the second area is pretty much done and in the game. We just did not have enough time to fully implement it without it being a buggy mess, so we've left it out for now. But yeah the second area will have new enemies,
environmental effects. That would be
a new mechanic. Go ahead.
We'll also be focusing on improving the AI. We have a lot of plans. We've done a lot of research for different ways to have AI make tic-tac-toe more interesting. We just need the time to implement it. As you can see, I Noah's one can show the ending. Alright, real quickly, because we're very proud. Noah, can you show the PowerPoint showing all the differences?
I sure can. I can speed through this really quick since it's not really a presentation, more so just showing the differences. So, from the original Game Jam version to our new version, we've done quite a few changes. We actually have a settings menu, better visuals.
Some visual stuff is one of the big things that we decided to change. Is we made the new art style more on the same realm. If you notice, a lot of the older ones had a lot more like the taller art style. Now we're kind of focusing more on like the cutesy, like chibi style for it. And almost all of the sprites and backgrounds have been revamped. Very few assets have been reused. We want to, and when we're going through, we're going to do a lot more animations. We're hoping to make full-on animations for the attacks and hopefully to make a lot more areas. We already have at least one more planned besides the two that we mentioned. And I think that's just about it.
I'm ready now for questions.
Excellent. Good stuff. Remember to post your questions in the chat. JY says, the colors are pretty. Dreamchild on Twitch says, you changed the art. We all made fun of random number generators for a little bit too, I'm sorry to say.
We love
they're very easy
generators.
Dreamchild said, still love the animation. Rachel LaCroix said, slay the spire.
That was a very big inspiration.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so let's talk about Godot. Because we're starting to see more of that popping up. What were your favorite bits of working with Godot? What were your least favorite bits?
It compared to I'm sorry, I can't really compare it to anything other than Unity, as that's the only engine I've experience in. But it is much simpler and much faster to develop in. a good example of this is rather if you've ever worked with Unity, you have to individually search for each game object and then look inside of them for the component, and that really makes your code hard to read with like tens of functions just to do basic mechanics and stuff. And Godot, it uses a node system, and I don't exactly get it, but instead of looking for each component, you just point at the object. So for example, Mula, and if you just want to change your color, you just go dot color, or it's called modularity in the code, and you can make her more red or something. So I really like that aspect of it, being able to prototype quickly, test stuff quickly, and not really fight the API. Difficulties wise, there has been a few issues with
Understanding the logic of the code.
Well, yes. Although that's not real. Godot still has the same issue of Unity. If you've ever worked on a large project, or really anything object oriented, where it's kind of hard to step through the logic. We've definitely had a bit of issues working as a team on a code base with we're approaching 50 different files of code. But we're working through it. Very sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's good. Michael Revit had a good comment on that. An easy way to think of it is that Unity nodes, game objects, have a script. Godot nodes are a script. And Michael, you mainly work in Unreal, don't you? Michael also said, awesome work. I also really love the color schemes. Very calming and nice to look at. Yeah, it's very interesting how these different engines now are all node oriented, but handle nodes very differently. So pretty fascinating. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about your next steps for this game.
Okay. So Bubble Yaga, we have a lot of things that are about to be done. We just need to put a little more work on them. So we're gonna be doing pretty consistent updates on this, and we'll be posting them on the itch page. So some of our next plans are, like we said, we want to finish that second area. We want to get the rest of our musician Grace's music in. And then we're just going to be adding more to the game. So we have more areas that we've already planned past the stuff that we already have made. More mechanics in. We want to make the game even more of a roguelike. So we have an actual randomized shop instead of set items. So yeah, really just whatever we have now, put more onto it.
Yes, as I said, we'll be working a lot on researching better ways to make the AI and the basic tic-tac-toe more interesting.
Yeah, lots of balancing changes.
Yeah, and having effects that deal damage, or maybe they destroy the next tile you're using. Mechanics to make the basic tic-tac-toe much more fun.
Yeah, it will not just be regular tic-tac-toe for the entire game when we're making it, do not worry.
Yes.
All right, great. Yeah, go ahead. One last thing.
One last thing. We do have a online version as...
Oh, yeah, you can play it on itch. If you go to our itch page,
don't have to download it. That is a cool mechanic, although the reason we had to do it is our mentor. We have not been able to recreate this bug with anyone else. Cannot run the EXEs. So
ouch.
Yeah, if the game does not run when you download it, feel free to use the itch page.
Indeed.
We also have a YouTube channel and a Twitter account, both of which are going to be showcasing, as time goes on, we're going to be showing exclusive art and dev progress.
Love
We'll
dev
put that
blogs. I
Yeah,
love
Made
it.
under our company name. Or
Yeah,
studio
with Sea
name.
of Slugs. Yeah, we're going to be posting devlogs. We're going to be posting updates on both of these as well as the itch page.
All right. Excellent. That was the incredible Bubble Yaga. Say goodbye, Bubble Yaga.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for having us.
До свидания.
All right, everybody, we are back with Night of the Living Bubble. I know you're scared of bubbles. I'm going to show you good reasons for it. So take it away, Rugs, Rags, and Hand Soap's Night of the Living Bubble.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, to joining us for the Best in Georgia Finalist live stream. We are Studio Nailgun coming to you from SCAD-Atlanta. And we're here to show off Night of the Living Bubble, which is our game jam game that has come quite a long way, if anyone has seen it when it first dropped a couple months ago now. We made leaps and bounds of progress. We're really excited to show you what we have. And just so everyone is aware, this build is available on itch.io right now. So we're about to show you some gameplay, but if you decide after this that you really want to get your hands on it and explore Rugs, Rags, and Hand Soaps, know that that is an option. But if you just want to see what we've got, I'm going to pass it over to James, who is going to show us the gameplay of what we have now.
Alrighty, cool. Thank you so much, Isaac. So starting off, we enter the game at the very outside of the store, actually, our Rugs, Rags, and Hand Soap, which is a parody, not so clever parody of Bed Bath & Beyond, where you get a little intro sequence, and you also get to play through a presentation of a game tutorial. If you would like to skip this game tutorial, you could press enter to quickly pass by it, but it sort of runs through all of our little new features that we have added ever since Game Jam, basically, showing off everything that you can interact with and play around with inside the game. So, if I enter the store, I can just walk up to the front here, through that, and and then the game sort of starts itself. I feel the best way, usually, to, figure out the rules of anything is to play it anyway, so for most people, that'll probably be what you do. But we've completely revamped the style. We've completely overhauled all of our little environmental aspects. We've got great art from me, Isaac, and a few other supplementary modelers that we have here at SCAD-Atlanta who've done great jobs. We've got new enemy types, as you can see here. We've moved on from just our Bubble Buddy, inspired from SpongeBob Bubble Buddy, to now alligators and all other sorts of creatures. I'm sure you might be able to hear them as well. They have all sorts of different little environmental things, like we have a little bubble goat that knocks you up into the air and sends you flying. You can quickly take him out, though, so he's not too much of a worry. We also have slippery puddles that you can slide in, just for fun. Also, we have fire extinguishers that do AoE damage, so you can destroy large groups of enemies in one fell swoop. And of course, we have the bubble machines, as seen from the game jam, which sometimes, when you destroy, you can get battery packs from, which allow you to go full auto mode, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, we have environmental little things to mess with. And yeah, it's basically just been a huge artistic venture for a lot of us. I know that for a lot of us, this is our very first full, fledged game. I forgot to mention, though, that when I first ran in, I went and grabbed an upgrade for my nail gun here that I'm using. And that allows me to blow away enemies and keep them at a good distance. But of course, there's multiple upgrades to find throughout the store. So let me see if I can go find another one for us to play around with. But yeah, this one's good for crowd control. So if there's ever too many bubble guys on you, you can kind of keep your bubbles at bay, as it were. You can also pick up sodas from soda machines to... I'm getting swarmed here a little bit. To use as projectiles against enemies, which is really handy. But if I run over here, I can grab a grapple hook. So instead of our blow dryer, I can use that to grapple my way around the store. So suddenly, this becomes way more vertical than before. And of course, as you see, I'm bouncing along the beds and all sorts of things that you can play around with. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Here, let me see if I can get a good example of me throwing the soda. Yeah, there we go. Which is usually an insta-kill for most enemies. It's pretty nice. But yeah, so lots of little fun things to interact with here. But yeah, the whole point of the game is still to basically destroy the bubble machines and get to the end, fight the boss, and beat the bubbles back. So yeah, it's pretty dense. We wanted to make sure that our store was very compact and kind of a maze. Not too much of a maze, though. We don't want people to get completely lost, but a maze in the sense that it keeps you cramped and keeps you on your toes. You don't want to know where everybody's coming from at all times. Makes it a little more intense that way. And yeah, you know, I'm very proud of what our team was able to accomplish. We had a very small team here at Studio Nailgun, about 5 lead devs along with a handful of other little supplementary people. And yeah, I've moved on. I've destroyed all the bubble machines now, and I'm fighting the boss. Our boss is cleverly named Jeff. I think that will probably stay till the end of the game. I'm a big fan of Jeff, and so is the rest of my team. So yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much Night of the Living Bubble here. Let me see if I can beat Jeff real quick. You can shoot his bubbles that he launches at you, so it's pretty handy. But yeah, there we go. But yeah, that's pretty much the game.
All right, well, let us know. What are your upcoming plans for it? What's next?
I will hand it back off to Isaac for that. And they'll go ahead and present, and then I'll pop up out of this.
Right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can go through our slide deck real quick. You're going to see some stuff that you've already seen, but then we are going to talk about our upcoming plans for this big old venture. So can you guys see my presentation? Alrighty. Yep, alrighty. So this is our team. We are Studio Nailgun. The first 5 names you see here are the original devs from our Game Jam product. We brought on Amai as our lovely QA lead, and then we've gotten help from a bunch of other contributors who have come in to give us various things, like some quick animations, some quick assets, or help with editing our game trailer. We could not have done this without these guys' help, so big shout out to them as well. We have a trailer up. You guys just saw the gameplay, so I'm going to go ahead and skip on by that. But that is linked on the itch.io page if anyone is curious about watching that. It is quite a lot of fun. You get to hear some of our great music. I said I was going to skip it. Thank you. But like you saw, it is a first-person shooter set in everyone's favorite locale, the interior of beloved retail chain Rugs, Rags, and Hand Soaps, which I'm sure everyone here grew up going to quite frequently. Except it looks a little awry, it's kind of dark, kind of dingy, and it is overrun with bubbles. And these are not friendly bubbles, these are bubbles that have your demise in mind. As you might have seen by my friend James getting swarmed in that level. So we've got a lot of current gameplay elements, a lot of room to move around. We have our nail gun, our main weapon to use. People have quite enjoyed the whimsy of being able to shoot bubbles with a nail gun, we've found, so that is going to be in for the long haul. But we have lots of different things that you can find around the level, lots of just kind of found things you can grab. So you can chuck sodas, you can use batteries to power up your nail gun, we have the hair dryer, the tape measure, and lots of different stuff going forward. The level got basically a complete overhaul as well. I don't know if anybody here saw our original Game Jam game, but it was much smaller, much less packed. So we have been incredibly hard at work making lots of assets to populate this and building in lots of different mechanics so that this place is genuinely fun to explore. And we have done a lot of play testing on this game, lots of informal ones, and then some more formal ones at various game developer meetups and on our campus. We've gotten lots of feedback on this stuff. But the most common feedback that we've gotten is that the game is really fun, which is what we're hoping for and what we intend to carry through all the way to the end. Now, in terms of our planned features, this is where it gets really exciting. So we're going to open up the scope to basically 3 more levels that are not set in this original store. So part of the whimsy of our game, I found by talking to people about it, is just like the thrill of being able to just bound around inside of a store. So we are going to have some more levels. One is inside a store, and the other is planned to be in like a parking lot fair. So the next area you'll get to go to, basically a Home Depot, and there's going to be new enemy types there. So instead of bubbles, you will be facing some wooden enemies, which you're going to be combating with a new weapon, such as that flamethrower you see depicted there in that concept art. You're going to get access to new upgrades, and it's going to be lots and lots of fun. And then you'll go on to a parking lot fair, where you're going to fight some junk food themed enemies, as well as get some new upgrades and have plenty to explore there. Now, those seem Those seem kind of random, but we do have a story tying all that together that we are going to plan as well, and that is you are not just fighting any bubbles, you are fighting a mad scientist who wants to create life to take over the planet, but human body parts are expensive, so she's using things like wood, bubbles, and various things. Our release date is planned for the end of September. We've got lots of stuff hashed out here. I'll skim through it because this is more for our end and for the judges, but it is all laid out. We're hoping to get this out pretty soon to people. But in terms of resources, we got a lot to do, so if anyone wants to pitch in terms of assets, programming, even just basic stuff like that, would be very much appreciated because we have a few hands, lots to do. Marketing. We've got lots of social medias already. We're going to be doing devlogs, stuff like that, and just spreading the word amongst each other and our friends so we can get the word out about this game and everybody can have a fun time playing it. Now, can you survive Night of the Living Bubble? Again, now on itch.io.
Excellent. I am frightened. I'm frightened of how good it is. Dreamchild says, in Twitch, I feel the love in this game. Michael Revitt says, very neat. Lots of plays on lots of words. Good work. Nabil Muhammad says, we love Jeff. I'm glad he gave off bloody bubbles when you shot him. King Gold Catter says, I love the shader effect. That was really nicely done. You did a good job keeping it dark, but making sure the player could see and that light, they always knew where the light was drawing them. I appreciate that. Dreamchild says, love your presentation voices. Very professional. Hat says, alligators? So I'm not sure what the names of your monsters are. And JY says liminal space-ish. So yeah, very cool stuff. Good roadmap for moving forward. Talk about your dev process for this, because you started with a small team and then you added people on. How did that all work out for you?
So we kept a lot of the original people, but since we're kind of a small-ish campus here, word got out that we were still working on it. And we're lucky enough to have a very enmeshed major where people love collaborating with each other. So we were able to go to people and be like, hey, we've got a lot on our hands. If anyone wants to take on like making this goat model or doing like a walk cycle for it that we can put in so that we can focus on some of the broader mechanics, that would be great. And we had a lot of people who were willing to hop in and pitch in for that. So both friends and people that we were able to just kind of reach around and talk to.
Rachel LaCroix says, I like the use of vertical space. That's right. The up-down is nice. And using the shelf, the racks for cover. JY says, will you get to use all the items you pick up in the final fight, maybe? Would be neat cycling through bubbles, fire, etc. What do you think?
Absolutely, yes. That's part of the fun of it. You get to build up your arsenal as you go through to deal with all the interesting enemies coming at you. One of our final things planned is that there is a final area where you get to fight all of the different types of enemies at once. So good luck to you.
And it's very clear you all had to develop some new skills to get this game to this point. So what do you think were some of the key things you have learned during this process?
I mean, I personally have basically never 3D animated before this process. I made the animations you saw in a lot of the enemies, not all of them, such as the goat, but I made the dragon and stuff like that. That was a great learning curve. And then it was all implemented by Nabil, who's our lead programmer. And we had like lots of skills come across all over the board. Jonathan was the guy that did our VFX. Somebody asked about that. Sam made a lot of assets, made our graphics. James made... I don't really even know where to begin with James' contributions. He kind of covered everything across the board. But we learned modeling, we learned texturing, we learned how to be fast, we learned how to be a team. It was really cool and really educational for all of us.
Excellent, excellent. Hats says, become the Suds Slayer. And I'll end with one last comment. You've got a great story already going here. Now you need to add a narrative designer to actually write it up and give you a short story based on Night of the Living Bubbles. All right. We are at time with Night of the Living Bubbles. Great stuff. Thank you. Say good night, Night of the Living Bubbles. Say good Night of the Living Bubbles.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. You all got to see a bit behind the scenes, behind the screen with that transition. But let's go ahead and for our last bit, everyone get ready to suck it up. Take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Hunter Walton. I'm one of the leads on the project, and with me here is one of our other leads. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Gavin Graves. I'm once again the other lead.
And today we're talking about Suck It Up. This is a game about weaponizing speech bubbles in a toxic workplace in order to climb the corporate ladder. So starting off, we want to talk about where we were after Game Jam. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up our Game Jam build right here to show you where we were at the start of this project so you can see how far we came by the end of this. So starting here, this is the original Game Jam version we uploaded to itch.io. And we have this front on camera angle, and pretty much the main goal of the game is you suck in speech bubbles and you shoot them back out. You have to hit it within this little meter here in order to shoot out a speech bubble, and if you click while the paperclip is not in that meter, you can't shoot. This is more just a preview to show you basically where we were at. But now we're going to go ahead and move on in our presentation to some challenges and changes that we met throughout development, starting off with our very first big change. As soon as we knew that we were working on this competition, we knew we needed to get a lot more serious. So the very first big change we made in terms of team structure is we switched over to Agile and Scrum. So we've been on weekly sprints every single week since Game Jam, essentially. This being one of our burn down charts, we were on story points. And this was a big shift for a lot of people on our team because a lot of them had never been done sprints before, done Agile before. So this was a great learning opportunity for everyone, and also gave us a lot of flexibility due to the harsh deadline to get what we needed to get done completed. And I'm going to pass it on to Gavin here to talk about some other stuff.
All right. And this is, we did a lot of playtesting. We really tried to enforce that we test everything that we implement. One of the big things that we started being very critical of was the camera angle. As you can see, we had an early on realization that maybe a 45-degree tilt would fit our game better. And a lot of members on the team felt that this was so they held a playtest which included 45 people in under a day. And that really led us to realize that we needed to shift it. But doing this didn't break any systems, but it did break our main boss. So we had to completely redesign the boss, or so we thought. What we did was we actually had to create an entirely new system, which seemed out of scope at first, but we actually did it in under a week. And that was to make everything destructible so that the boss could rampage through the entire level, top to bottom.
And now it's time to show our current build of the game and what we have now and what we've submitted. So here is Suck It Up. Same start screen here. So we'll go ahead and go in. Here's our intro cinematic. So I'll just let this play.
All right, we're gonna let Hunter try and play through the whole game. Now it's a 1-life game, so we're gonna have a real skill check here. So good luck, Hunter.
All right, so this is our very first tutorial area. One big change you'll notice immediately is we do have full controller support now. That was one of the big changes that we made after our Game Jam version, because we felt that twin stick controls similar to games like Enter the Gungeon would be really awesome for this game and makes it really fluid. That being said, though, you can still play the game with the mouse as well, but controller is the preferred input. So starting off here, we meet our receptionist, who is our sort of tutorial enemy. And what she does is she just goes ahead and starts teaching you how to play the game. So every piece of dialogue that pops up above her kind of tells you how to play the game. So the first thing is using the joystick to avoid shots. Right trigger to blast your insults across the room. And then left bumper to suck in shots. Once you eliminate the receptionist, you're able to move on into the elevator to start our tutorial level.
Yeah. We wanted to keep things fairly simple because we designed everything around the idea that if it can't fit on mobile, then it's probably too complicated for us.
Mm-hmm. So starting off here, you'll notice you are completely blocked off here. What do? We have to break down a door. This is a huge system in our game. It adds a lot of mobility. And then you'll also notice there's a quest system popping up on screen, kind of guiding me on what I need to do next. So the next thing I need to do is fight enemies. So I'm going to bash this door, fight this guy. Pretty simple. And then you'll also notice everything is breakable, as we mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of destruction, which will become a lot more apparent later. We also have a bunch of different enemy types that shoot different speech bubbles, and then you gain their abilities when you suck in their speech bubbles. So that's a showcase of our destruction there. Our next quest, we need to heal out a water cooler. So water is health in our game. So there's these water coolers spread around that act as health. So you're able to suck in those water coolers in order to heal and progress. That way you don't die super quickly since it is a one-life game. And then our last thing we need to do is answer phones, which really ties into our main objective system. So once I answer this phone, we are shown the elevator, and then we can head back. And then kind of the end of every level is going back to the elevator. That way you can move up the building.
So that was sort of a tutorialization section, but now we're going to get really into the nitty-gritty section, where you can see just how everything flows together in terms of the pacing of a level. Right now his task is going to be obviously to do what he did before, which is answer 3 phones, but things will get out of control very quickly as we have a systemic destruction system, which will, everything can break, from the tables to your cover to, I mean, you name it, it can break. And we made sure that was so. The only thing that actually can't break is external walls, because we don't want you jumping out the building. You can also see on Showcase a few of our projectile types. We have a 3-ray burst shotgun blast, which shoots like poison type ammo, as well as the regular basic ammo, as well as our blue railgun ammo, which we can see here, which has some pretty fun sound effects.
That is also the only ammo that can pierce through walls. So as you can see there, it pierced through walls, pierced through enemies, and I was able to get all 3 in one shot right there. Our next quest is we need to make some copies. So you get on the copier and start making copies, and this is a sort of defending type mission that introduces you to our respawn system, which is where these employee doors fall from the sky to make employees attack you while you're trying to complete these quests.
As you can see with everything we add, we wanted to elevate the level of chaos that we can have in the game. So, of course, the respawn system has to destroy everything around it. This is one of our new projectile enemy types, which is going to be the red. Oh, he might die actually right here. We'll see him later.
So now our last and final quest in this level is we need to splash coffee on the poster. So we use these we kept on referring to them as like Nintendo camera transitions. Nintendo games usually do a good job at guiding the player with camera. So that's kind of how we guide them to what quest is next. This is one of our new AoE enemies.
The one that died earlier. You can see it causes massive chaos. Destroys everything.
And so we can go ahead and grab this coffee here. And the main challenge to this quest is we can no longer shoot. If we shoot, we lose our coffee cup, and we can't suck it back up. So we have to go back to the coffee maker. So it's sort of a fetch quest with a little more difficulty to it. And then enemies are constantly still around the area and can spawn in during this quest. Now if we bring it over to the poster, we can engage in our first mini-boss, the floor manager. And so now our last task is to defeat her.
You might want to speedrun her so we can get to the big boss. She's a fun type of character because she can switch between attacks. This is what we wanted all of the sort of higher level characters to do, because of course if you're going to have someone in the corporate world who's really high up, they're really good with their words, and that means that if they want to insult you, they know a real good way to do it, and they can switch on a dime. And as this is all happening, there's a clock in the top right. That clock is going to make things gradually harder as time goes on in the workday. And once you reach overtime, things go to a point of difficulty where they become borderline impossible. But there's still a chance that you can make it through.
Now we beat the floor manager once again. We go back to the elevator and proceed to our final level that we have right now.
Yes. Now, this is going to be a bit of a tonal shift because you're going from the first level to pretty much the last level, where you're at pretty much the gates of hell, the top floor, the corporate offices. This is going to be an entirely vertical map. This completely shifts design on its head, and is kind of a straggler from the original design, but we thought it was a fun contrast and allowed for a really unique type of gameplay. This is going to be less focused on completing specific challenges and more on just surviving. Get to the very end and see what happens next. For this, we had to make all these assets from scratch. There's a few that carry over because it's still an office space, but we had to make a total new palette because this map is completely distinct from everyone else. Pinch. Hunter's doing pretty good if I do say so myself.
I'm trying to make it through as fast as I can so that you guys can see the final boss.
Yeah, I will say this is definitely not an easy level by any chance. But we've only gotten about, I think 3 people I know have beaten it. I'd be Hunter, 1 playtester, I think one of our designers.
And then now that we're at the end of the level here, we can see our final boss, the CEO. And so this kind of turns the entire level around because it's going to spawn in, and now I have to run away from it while fighting it in order to defeat it.
All these systems are built modularly off of previous enemies that we've designed, and we are going to use it to be able to make other bosses whenever we expand down the line, because all of these are just using pretty simple modular systems. It also uses all the projectile types from before.
Oh, dang it.
Oh.
I died. We can go ahead and show. We prepared. We have a video of completing the boss here.
Yes, we're aware of how hard our game is.
So, as you can see here, we're kind of whittling the boss's health down in this gameplay. And it keeps just plowing through the map, breaking everything in its path. And then right here at the end, once we get the last shot on it, you've beaten the boss.
You defeated your corporate overlord. Bit of a happy ending, if I do say so myself.
So that right there is Suck It Up.
All right.
We
Very
can go
good
back
stuff.
to our
Very
slide
good stuff.
deck here.
All right. I'm guessing what you're going to ask is, what do we have planned? Exactly. Well, we have our production schedule to a T. We have a lot of things on here, but we also have some things that we didn't want to put just because of clutter. One of the big things I'll highlight is that right now we have our Steam page, our Steam demo already released. It released this morning. So right now you can play what we just played through yourself. Try to get to the boss. I challenge you. It's a bit difficult, but I promise you, people have done it. But we're also going to be doing weekly devlogs coming soon, so we can join the dev community online, as well as potentially attending MomoCon or other conventions like that. For social medias, we have these already made, and we've been posting as much as we can, sharing the word about this competition, as well as our progress in the game. We have a Spotify release that we had with 9 total tracks. This is a remaster of our Game Jam track, as well as some tracks from future content that we haven't exactly made yet, but we're working on. This is the Steam page I mentioned earlier, which has our demo on it. And that's pretty much everything we have so far.
And then here's the actual Steam page. If you guys want to go ahead, look it up, Suck It Up on Steam, and you can wishlist it there. But
yeah,
that's all we have, so thank you.
Thank you.
You have any questions?
Very good. All right. We shared the link to the Steam and the Spotify, so you can grab it right now. Check out Steam demos. It's great. They can track those demos, not only the downloads, but also the plays. You get a lot more downloads than plays. I was amazed at how many downloads I got from Russia before I remembered that we have, because of the financial issues with Russia right now, they can't buy anything on Steam. They can just get the free stuff. So some discussion of lag spikes. King Cold Catter said it seemed like the game was chugging every minute or so. I did not notice that, so we'll have to look. I'm not sure what's going on with that. some other questions from earlier and comments. We all talked about the destructible environment. Love seeing destructible environments and looking forward to the scoring system for that. Yeah, Jeff added, JY had a great comment. I imagine what the cost for repairs would be. Will there be a financial bubble? Exactly.
Yes, we were definitely talking about having a scoring system that directly correlated with how much damage you caused through your playthrough.
Very cool. Dreamchild on Twitch says, love the music. JY,
I definitely suggest everyone to go and listen to Chunky P. They're the person who composed all this, Carson Delisio. So that's that Spotify link.
Always promote your audio, folks. Well done. JY says, wow, that was so satisfying with the railgun through the walls.
That's our sound producer, Mark Odom.
Yep. Hats asked, what engine is this in? And you answered UE5.
Yes.
Rachel LaCroix said, breaking random objects is so satisfying. Amelia Dutch said, great music and creative design. It's the Donut Man told Hunter that if he dies, he's off the project, and I think he died.
What?
Oh,
love the cinematics. It's the Donut Man said the soundtrack is so fire. Yeah. Those were the main comments through the chat. So I did have a question right off the bat. When you fought the receptionist, in the other levels, you get the go to elevator cinematic. I didn't see that. You just went to the elevator. Did I just miss it?
Well, the reason why we did that was because at that point we didn't want to bog the player down with too many camera movements. We already had a few already that guided them to the new quests. But at that point, we assumed that the player would be able to read at the top that it said go back to elevator. So we didn't think that.
So I noted this at the time. If players are just running around and not reading, which will happen, and especially if you don't have localization on, put a light or something on the elevator when that happens. Do something to guide them other than text.
Okay, we can definitely look into that.
Yeah, you're seeing it right there. Yeah, because if they are not able to read it or don't read it for whatever reason, you've got no guide to what to do next, and that elevator just looks closed.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about controller support. Love the fact that you implemented that. Talk to us about what was involved.
So yeah, it was a lot of, I don't think anyone on the team had ever actually implemented for controller before. So it was a lot of checking your current input mode. Controller UI was definitely a big struggle that we had to work through. But overall, one other big problem we ran into is shooting projectiles at the current perspective we have is very difficult, especially on controller. When you have a mouse, you can obviously see exactly where you're clicking, but with a controller, it's a bit looser. You can see the general direction of your megaphone, but one thing that we did end up adding is a sort of aim assist system that helps project ahead of the player and figure out the enemy you're trying to shoot at, so that you have a better chance of actually hitting them. That was a huge change, and we've been tweaking that a lot. That was one of our big playtest tweaking things that we did. We got a lot of feedback to try and get it to the perfect amount to where when you're playing, you never feel the aim assist, even though we as developers know it's in the game.
All right, very cool. Really do like the new 45-degree tilt, the new point of view for this. Nice camera angle too, and that you were able to implement that pretty easily too, apparently. Can you talk about making that change?
It didn't really break any systems at all, which was surprising. I was sure that it was going to mess something up. The only change really had to be with that boss design, and then we ended up coming to a pretty good conclusion that if we just kept it where he goes straight down, it kind of fits with his narrative as well as, he kind of breaks his own rules, that you can just go right through people's offices.
All right, very cool. Hunter, sorry you're gone, says it's the Donut Man.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're fired. Nico's not going to be lead.
Sleepy says, kind of reminds me of Hotline Miami. Very chaotic. All right. Very good stuff. If you liked what you saw, please do like the video. Let us know what you thought about all of these. Did it freeze for anyone else? No. Okay. Yeah. So in chat, any of you watching, like this, because that helps make sure it shows up in other people's algorithms so they can see these games as well, and they can follow these links and check out all the games. I'm going to share all the different links to the games. so that you and anyone else can go enjoy them. If you have any last comments for any of the teams, post them here. Otherwise, remember, April 15th at SCAD-Atlanta. Parker, do you have that link handy that you can share to get everyone out there? If not, like Parker has said, it's in the main building, 6 to 9 p.m., April 15th. But we need to have your names on that list in advance to get you into SCAD. Otherwise, we can't get you in the building. So yeah, please get us those names. April 11th is April 10th, preferably, because we have to turn over the list April 11th. So let us know. You get to meet the devs, you get to play the games, and yeah, learn about what happened at GDC. Once again, anyone from the Siege Indie Game Festival, share your links. Let us know you're here. We can put these on in, and I will share, of course, the link for Emperor the Fading Suns. Make sure you wishlist this game. Wishlist any game by devs you like. It costs you nothing, and it really helps. If you look at our videos from Chris Zukowski on how to best show up in Steam, it really is how you work with the Steam algorithm. Steam becomes your best marketing tool if there's enough momentum behind you. That means wishes. That means downloads of the demos. And all of these different things that go into it. So your wishes really matter. I'm very happy that with AFS going live, we've got something like, 12,000 downloads of the demo. I'd like to have more wishes. We're around 5,000 on the wishes. But getting ready to launch, we'll let everyone know how that goes. So make sure you wish these games, download them on itch, give them traffic, give them love, talk about them, follow the socials. And we're still looking at some cool suck it up stuff. But remember, April is your game dev month. EagleCon, the Athens meetup, April 15th, Best in Georgia Awards and GDC Report Back, April 19th, Siege Game Festival, Transformer AI Conference, April 26th, 27th. So much stuff going on. And you don't have to just suck it up. You've got a whole community out there to work with. But still, suck it up. Say good night, and we will call it a stream.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you at all these events, and definitely April 5th. Oh, put the itch link back for Night of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Bubbles. I absolutely will. How did I miss that one going up there? I put Suck It Up twice. That's how. I thought I had Night of the Living Bubbles that time. Thank you for letting me know that. I will do that. Let me do that right now, and then we will transition out of this stream. Thank you for catching me on that, May. All right, there's the Night of the Living Bubbles one. I'm going to put it in twice. It's so good. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you April 15th.